No, wait, let me.
Yeah, let me know.
We have. See, there's a whole.
Remember, they're going to be off on Memorial Weekend. Why is that cheese?
Yeah, they got this.
Okay, so that goes. That goes to 20.
That's today.
That one's to today.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Loan should be.
How's it again?
Oh yeah, I got.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah. So let's start with.
That one you type in the like you get it done. And then yeah.
Okay, so 11. No, what? I just almost 11 and I.
Sort of. I had this last whole operation.
The 24.
But there was.
I did this.
Yeah, 30.
Yeah, so that's 24.
Oh shit.
And there's 2 to it. So.
No, 10 is 7.
Oh, that's what
Right.
And then I'll do this.
Oh, so I can't change our calendar. So I can't change. Because they're already.
Because that shows up fine. It shows up on here, it says 24th, and that's showing up this.
Yeah.
Where did you get this?
Yeah.
Okay, so next, it's gonna be 11.
Yeah, so that's fine now.
Then number 12 has to
Just get that out there.
Yeah.
be those signs.
Replace that.
Right.
And then.
The 13th.
Then part 2 has to be on a Saturday.
Okay, there you go. Everything. I don't know what that is.
That's project. So that's October 1st.
What is it, guy? Oh, no, it's this month.
So part 2 again Saturday. So this would be.
Is that correct?
Part 2.
So it was probably on the weekend as well. Okay. But then they're only gonna have
Yeah.
2 days.
Yeah, they're very short.
Well, that, no, I'm saying like after this and this month, they're only gonna have like 2 days to do this next one. Well,
It's not really homework though.
yeah, that's what.
It's like updating profile, yeah, not really.
Because I looked at it and it had like a whole homework folder that I felt
Anything else is still.
Yeah, they're just gonna upload their info.
So that's part of the.
Yeah. It's supposed to accomplish, yeah. Yeah, so that's like, just updating like what they just said.
Okay, cool. So now it needs to be because that should take a week and a half.
So move that to 27.
Right, that we should probably do that.
So that, see, I don't have that.
Because it's not.
It's like it's their homework. Right, minus this?
Okay, before we get into that, it's something very.
Is your private one?
Yeah, I can probably move that.
Oh, look, I have it here. Matrix curve. So why have it here?
Yeah.
They have it today.
May 22nd.
Is it?
Yeah. So that should be May 22nd. Wait, maybe not. Is there gonna be more?
2 more minutes, everyone. 2 more minutes.
Yeah, because I don't think we're doing this new stuff.
No, you have to
Oh,
get.
this is the new stuff.
This is the new stuff, and then we get to these technical
Right.
So we can teach this. Look at the homework part again.
Oh, this isn't the problem, this is the
What is it there?
Oh wait, I don't know if that's gonna line up with
I'm saying this is
our.
Yeah,
Unless the time. Right, because, So.
Hey, John, look at that.
Yeah.
I'm doing 10 p.m.
17.
Where do I put the packages and everything?
Node modules.
But it should do it for you. Just do
So like,
What color? They have already had it back.
but I didn't.
So this homework,
Yeah.
They always switch
So what you're doing
It knows, yeah, it knows. It knows that this is.
Okay, everyone, let's bring that to a close. We're gonna go over it as a class. How'd you guys do with that? Okay, almost there. 0, really?
I got an error, but because of code that was already there.
Well, this shouldn't be that hard. You guys over here, anyone get it to work? Okay. Okay. Well, we're gonna go over it as a class. Let's all do laptops down for a minute, please. How are you guys feeling? Do you guys want to stretch before we get started? Let's stretch. Do you have to do SQL after this too? Come on. Yes. Our next thing is gonna have SQL. It's gonna have all this junk. So come on, everyone, let's let that go for a minute. We'll go over as a class. We'll stretch. All right, everyone, arms up in the air. Inhale. Grab the left elbow, come over to the right. Come back up. Grab the right elbow, come over to the left. Come back up, grab the left wrist, come over to the right. Grab the right wrist, come over to the left. Just shake off your day, shake everything off, shake off that last exercise, do any other stretches you feel like you do. Okay, so let's go over this.
Yeah.
So, okay, so here's all we have here. As I said, it's sort of a hybrid of the two exercises we did before, the node calculator from week 10, and then the parameterized URL routing that we learned about last week with the Star Wars exercise that we did. So with Express, all of this stuff should look pretty familiar to you guys. We're just requiring Express. We're setting the port number. Does everyone remember why we do this here? The process.env, it's for what? For Heroku, right? Okay, then this next thing, we're just initializing Express and setting it to the app variable. Then we do the app.get. That's our route. You guys all remember this stuff, right? Anyone not remember? Yeah.
I got that before, but I had an error saying that operation was undefined. And
okay, we'll get to that. I think you're on the right track though. Yeah. So basically we have 3 parameters here. The first parameter is the operation. The second one is the first number. Third one is the second number. Makes sense to everyone so far? So we're giving our application 3 inputs. We're giving it the operation, 1 number, and then another number. 3 inputs there. So now we're setting this variable. So maybe this is where what you needed. Yeah. So we're setting this variable operations to be the request.params.operations. Does everyone see how that works? So same thing for first number, same thing for second number, only we're just going to put it into the parse int method to make it an integer instead of a string. Does everyone see how that part is working? Okay. And then we're just going to declare an undefined variable called result, which we're going to set to the result. It's good to always declare all of the variables at the top of your functions. Now we have a switch case statement. This is one way to do it. We could have also done this with an if statement if we had wanted to. They like to use switch case statements. So that's fine, and they're doing it. So basically you could pass in the plus sign or you could pass in the string add. Both of them will work. They decide to get fancy here. I don't know why. You have to do it that way, but you guys see that? They made it so it works with either the plus or minus sign or the strings add or subtract. And then we're just going to return or set the results to whatever it is. If it's plus, then we're going to do it as plus. If it's minus, we're going to do it as minus. If it's multiplication, we do multiplication, etc. If the method they pass in, the operation they pass in does not exist, we give an error message, and then we just send the response. Does everyone see how that works? So pretty simple. Any questions on this?
Because of line 47.
Line 47, response.send?
Yeah, to string. Or unless I wasn't supposed to look at it in the browser.
No, I think you were. Let's try this in the browser. So, to string, you should.
500.
All right, let's give it a try here.
rest up sent and rest up right is the same thing.
Oh, response.send is only used with Express.js. Response.write it works with natively with Node and yeah.
Were you using response dot right?
Right. And then with send, I believe it also ends the connection. With write, it doesn't. So you can do multiple writes and then do a response.
Right. There's also response dot send and then response dot end, which both work with express, as we learned. Yeah, so sometimes you'll want to give what's called a chunked response, which means sometimes it takes a while for the database to connect. So you could give like the header of your page and then wait for the database to connect and then give the rest of the page in what are called chunked responses. So that's the difference between response.send and response.end. Response.send sends a chunk, response.end sends a chunk and then ends the connection. Okay, so let's just see how this works. So it's going to listen on port 8080. So, right. So let's say I do /+2, 2. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I get 4.
Wait, can you go back to the code?
Yeah.
Your error Matthew was just saying that the result wasn't defined. Like you're trying to get the two string of something that isn't defined.
Yeah. Okay, you guys ready for what's next? Sure. Okay, so this is pretty much all there is to it. It's pretty simple once you know how to do it. And if you didn't get it, don't feel bad. But
Okay, I got it.
okay, and we'll Slack this out and everything so you guys can take another look at it. But we're going to keep on moving to what's next. So now what we're going to start doing is mixing in some SQL with the web applications that we're making. So we start to have real full stack applications. So I think for this first one, we are just going to go over it as a class. Is that right? Jonathan, visiting schools. Yeah, I'm just supposed to go over how this works for you guys, I think. So this will use a MySQL connection, the same as we did in MySQL Week. I don't think I have MySQL installed, though, unfortunately. So just give me 1 sec while we get this set up. So in the meantime, we can go over what we're doing here. Does everyone have your SQL Server set up still?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so let's take a look at what we're doing here in this next example. This is going to be a directory of schools for wizards, like from Harry Potter, Hogwarts. The what?
Maybe it's directory of hamburgers.
Wait, what?
I'm hungry.
Yes, me too. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. From the top, we are declaring our Express app. Then we're also going to declare as a dependency MySQL, very much the same as we did in MySQL week. You guys all remember that. Then we're just setting this app variable to equal a new instance of Express. We're setting the port number. Then we're setting the connection info for our MySQL socket connection the same way as we did in MySQL week. You guys all remember this? So then we're just calling the connect method of the connection object, which we create here. Then we're going to throw an error if it can't connect. Otherwise, we just log to the console and say that we were able to make our socket connection. Then we listen for this route. When we connect for this route, then we go ahead and run a query to the database to get all of the names of our wizard schools. Does this part make sense to everyone? So we have a route, the same as we've been doing with the rest of our Express apps so far. We have a route that gives us back a response over HTTP, a website. But what happens now is if somebody requests this route, requests the root of our site, we're going to go and connect to our database, and then we're going to run an SQL query to get back the names of all of our wizard schools from the database. Then when it's done doing that, we have another callback function that creates this HTML response. It's going to create an H1 tag that says magical schools. Then we have a UL tag. Then it's going to construct a list of all of the schools from the response that we get back from our database. Do you guys all see how that's working there? And we're doing it through string manipulation. Then we just put on the closing UL tag, and then we send the response, which is the HTML we just created, which has an H2 tag and then an unordered list of all of the schools.
Be actually generating HTML like this?
Well, handlebars does that for us. That's why we're doing this. Like, you see how we always do things sort of the old-fashioned way before we, yeah, we're walking before we run. So handlebars does all of this for us in a much nicer way. That's a lot easier to look at, but we're learning to do it sort of the old-fashioned way first. Let's see if MySQL finished installing yet. Sorry for the wait, everyone. Yeah.
Can I start signing out the first half of the next activity? Because it's only involving SQL. Like create a database, add the columns, and then once you get this running, you can go over the thing, and then they could do the next part.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool. Hey guys, I'm gonna select out activity for you guys to do in the meantime. It's gonna be really simple. It's with MySQL. So you're just gonna create a database, create a table, and add stuff to the table. Okay.
Are we doing this with MAMP, or are we doing this with a schema and then with Steve?
You can use MAMP or use the other SQL installation you have. Whichever one you were using on SQL week, just keep doing it that way.
No, right now you're just creating a new database, a new table, and new entry.
Oh, so this wasn't in the zip file?
No, they do it with MAMP, right, Jonathan?
Slack on the zip file too.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, you did.
I'm pretty sure it was Jonathan.
No, I think it was David.
Oh, it was David?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought David had sent out the first assignment.
Activity
one.
David sent it in.
Yeah.
We're supposed to do this part now. Oh yeah, like this is like it's in there. But this is the first part, and then you're gonna need the second part. Let's see gets this to work. So like you guys are just getting head start since you guys already know how to do this. Just, yeah.
Okay, well, we have this up and running anyway. Yeah.
Database.
So I'll go ahead and do this one with you guys. Seinfeld app, is that what you select out, John?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's number 3.
Yep. I'm just having them do the first part, which is deals with the database, SQL database.
Okay. Okay, are you guys about done with that? Another 2 minutes? Okay, sounds good. I'll just go ahead and do this. Okay, who's done with that? Creating the database tables. You could have either done it in your SQL admin, you could have done it in PHP MyAdmin, or you could have done it with regular SQL. You guys still working on that? All of you? Okay, well, let's switch gears for a second. We're going to go back to the last exercise. Could we be laptops down, please, for a minute, and then we'll switch back to that. Sorry to kind of go back and forth. So we have a database schema here for our last exercise, the wizard schools. So we're going to enter these 4 wizard schools here: Hogwarts, Castleborough, etc. And to do this, I'm just in my my SQL command line app. So I'm just going to go ahead and run all of this code they give me here, which will put the right SQL into our database. Now, my CD into this directory. npm install. Okay, so now we can see here we're going to connect to our local host I set the password for my database as root. I just created this database table, or we just created the database called Wizard Schools DB with that code that we ran. So let's run this and see what happens. So you can see it logged here that it's connected to the database the way that it's supposed to. And now when we go to localhost 880, you can see here are all of the different magical schools in the database. So you can see that it's doing basically what it's supposed to do. It's connecting to the database. It's getting the schools. It's coming back and it's putting them in a UL. Does everyone sort of see how that works? We're connecting to the database. Once we get back the results from the database by running this query to get all of the rows in the schools table, then we just put an H1 tag and then we put an unordered list with some data. Makes sense to everyone? Okay, good. So let's come back to what you guys were working on, this Seinfeld app. We're going to create a Seinfeld DB database with an actors table. Who got this far? Okay, most of you guys. Add 4 actors with different coolness points and attitudes. Who is able to do that part? Some of you. Okay, so for those of you who couldn't get that done, were you just like in the process of doing it, or did you get confused about how to add a record, or what happened? Just the process of it? Okay. How were you, most of you, doing that? Were you using the SQL admin or using the command line MySQL?
I use my admin.
Okay, you use the admin. You are using Sublime and then pasting it into Workbench or something. Okay. Okay. Sounds good. So after you do this, here's the second part. It seems like all of you guys should be able to do this. It's just simple database administration stuff. After we do this, we're going to create a node application with Express MySQL. It's also going to use body parser the way our examples from last week did. And we're going to have 3 Express routes. One is going to be /cast route that displays all of the actors' names and their IDs. So you're going to have added a few different actors to your database. And then you're just going to make a route that shows all of them, very much the same way as we did in the previous example. Then you're going to have a coolness chart route that will display all the actors and their data ordered by their coolness points. So the first one is just going to be in the order they naturally are in the database. The second one, you're going to order them by their coolness points. Anybody have any idea how you'll do that, how you'll do the ordering? Order by. Who said order by? Okay. Yeah, so you'll use order by as part of your SQL query. Then you're going to create an attitude chart that will display all the actors for a specific attitude. So you're going to only select the ones where their attitude equals a specific attitude. Does that make sense, everyone? Questions on this?
I would say I'm confused by lines 15 and 13.
Of here?
Yeah. 13 and
Okay. So 13, you're going to make a coolness chart route that displays all of the actors and their ordered data. So we're going to add 4 different actors, right? And we're going to say how cool they are and what's their attitude. So what's an actor? Somebody give me an example. Okay, Jerry Seinfeld. So how cool is Jerry Seinfeld on a scale of 1 to 10? About an 8, I would. Okay, so let's give him an 8. And what is his attitude? Snarky, picky, picky. Okay, so he's an 8 and he's picky. What's another actor?
George Costanza.
Okay, George Costanza. What's his coolness? Like a 6?
Oh my God, 3.
Yeah, like a 3.
That man's a solid 3.
Well, he's had shining moments of greatness.
Okay, 3 and attitude for George Costanza. Okay, so by this coolness chart, you're going to list your actors in terms of coolness. So you'll put Jerry Seinfeld first and then George Costanza. because one has a higher coolness than the other. And the way we do this is by using the order by operation in our SQL query, which orders things by a certain column. So you're going to order it by the coolness column. And that way we'll see our actors coming back in order of their coolness. Make sense?
But how are you gonna organize that? Oh, okay, I guess I've already.
Yeah, take a look at the examples from our SQL week. Let me show you guys here. We should have an order. We had an order by example somewhere, right, Jonathan? Was that day 3 of the SQL that I wasn't here for? I think it was. 2 tables, pop quiz. Solution. Sorry, everyone. Give me 1 sec.
What was in the top songs? We have to do the top songs.
This one?
Yeah.
Top 5,000.
But I think it was the last like iteration of that.
Oh, okay. This one?
Number 14.
14, 2 tables, really? Okay. Albums, schema, package, where,
Line 79.
group,
Yeah, okay. With the
line 71.
79.
You have a group by, having count. That's not a group by, not order by, but similar. So anyway, that's how it's going to work. You're going to do order by. So you'll do, yeah.
I'm selecting you guys off the order by stuff.
Yeah, it's really a very simple query to write. So that's part 1 of that, Jackie, what you said you were confused about. Part 2. Is the attitude, right? So you're just going to display your character by attitude. So if you're going to put localhost /:8080 /attitude chart / if the attitude is picky, it's going to give you back Jerry Seinfeld. Does that part make sense? And you're going to do that also with the SQL query. You're going to select only, you're going to select from the table actors where attitude equals picky. That's what your SQL code is going to look like. Any questions on this, guys, before we get started?
Oh, wow. Hey, didn't it? Oh, interesting. Oh, the new ones are nice. See, they're so nice.
Yeah, sure.
That doesn't happen too often in Mac, but when it happens bad. Probably too much open. This is not or the Mac normal, right? That's not the problem.
No, you had a rebel time.
For the server, you can use the one you want, but when you establish the connection, you have to put the port. You see, when you say connection, then config or something like that, you have to give it the port.
Oh, that's it. There you go. That's very good.
No problem.
Yeah, because you can see
They have an recreated connection. Okay, so the next thing we need to do.
Why does this one need one parser, but the previous one is?
Good question. I think. Let me look that up for you, actually. I always get confused about what body parser does. I think it parses the body of the response. It basically just formats the body of your response to a string. So I think that, yeah, I really don't know offhand. I'd have to get back to you why it fails without it. Try running it without it and see why it fails. I feel like I should know that. But.
Initialize express. So the way you want to do that. Variable, you can call it your attribute codes.
Bless you.
Express. So you have that.
So do we not just set a format because we set a port express?
At the bottom? No, you still have to set the port. You set it on top. You set. No, you should still have to. I think it's just using the default 3306, and that's why you don't have to. Let's see. Yeah, I think it just doesn't use it because it's using the default 3306, so that's why you don't need it.
What's the instruction again? We're going to listen for.
Yeah, it's just using the default.
That function takes 2 arguments. The first one is work.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know what I'm getting. I tried with the first example that you did the research course without changing anything.
Yeah.
And I run the internet package and then I run the Microsoft school. But I guess it's error.
Okay.
And then
Do you have a password? How are you running SQL?
With the mom?
Yeah. So you have to start searching. Yeah. Okay, not working. So that's okay.
save.
Use web, the second one, set web ports to meeting. Okay, click OK.
And then it goes to the
Start servers.
Pass something in if it's there.
So.
Okay, should be working.
No, but it's always, the first is always like, looks like it's
Can I see?
Otherwise, then you have to do a get request for each one. If you have to do one that's cast or that's chart. So that way on.
Right.
So did you use the same one? If they go to cast, instead of doing get this piece you
Should I close these windows and see?
No, that's
I don't know if this works. Can I pass in two, but only use the first one? This one is you put in there. Oh, you're looking for like you guys would just cast both. So basically, in order to serve, each one exists. Pass in one strip, but this one since there's two.
Try just restarting your computer. So let's try it. Let's try it now. Try to restart it.
So let's start by copy and paste. Copy from one address.
Okay, 5 more minutes to work on that, everyone. Yep.
Now we have. Okay, so let's run the.
I have a different question. Every time I run NP on the knit, it doesn't work.
Really? Let me see.
Oh, it's, yeah, so here we're calling it sign code.
Yeah, so that's not Eric's just asking you to say the name of the package. Every time you run NPM in here, he's just asking for like what the name of your package is. But you can just keep hitting it. You don't have to. Because that's all gonna go in here. And then other packages, so like if you're using Express and the whole body.
This part, and this, you're just using Express, is actually allow Node to run on port, like this on your browser. If you don't have this, then the only way you can access it is
First, you want to respond
so like the only difference in the add is initial so now we're notes are running so the next step is just creating the routes. Right, so we hit flash. So let's do one and then the rest of these. Vertically, do you guys may have each of your open tests. And there we're going to have the first argument is going to be the actual route. So like float, caps. Perfect. And the next argument is going to be call function. So it's going to be the same way you did that. So function. It's going to be the second argument. So call. No, that's fine. That's perfect. No, that's perfect. And here's going to be your call. So what happens after?
Still not working? Yeah.
Okay. So whatever you write in there is what's going to run as soon as someone hits slash out. So
Usually we say
that's where you're going to want to put on block getting connect. So getting the stuff from your database and sending it to the front. Yes. Okay, yeah, so just make sure you have to change the name of the table or the actuals. Like, create table, oh, no, is that? Oh, you're good, oh, perfect. Okay, yeah, so when you finish it, yeah, you're good. I thought you were using it somewhere else. So just copy that when you're done, paste in SQL, and run it. Right? Yes.
It's telling me create function.
Is it spelling everything correctly?
Are you doing it? Good.
No, open that.
Stop it. No, it's about
Oh, because if I'm not mistaken, your server runs first, and then the connection. So when you're calling connection, like create connection doesn't exist. So Oh, no, you don't have to call it connect. So you call connection.connect. And then you pass in your callback. Take error. And then, yeah, so if there's an error, we're not so then use is so
I don't know. Sometimes things happen like this with me.
So this is
See if you can uninstall. Sorry about that. But we're going to review now anyway, Martha. So just watch the review. Okay, everyone, we're going to stop now and review that as a class. Even if you didn't get as far as you would like, we're going to keep going with it. The important thing is that you understand, as I keep saying, high level, conceptually, how does all of this stuff work? You guys ready to do that? Sound good? Okay, laptops down, everyone. Laptops down. So let's take a look again at the directions, just so we're clear on what it was we were doing. We're going to make a Seinfeld DB database table database with an actors table. We're going to add a bunch of records for actors. We're going to put information about their coolness, about what their attitude is, and what they're in the cast of. Right? So let's see what this SQL code looks like. Did anyone get something that looked like this or do something equivalent to this in your SQL Workbench or something? Okay. Sounds good. So let's go ahead and just run this code so that way we can see the whole thing working.
Is it just not wrapped? Or am I seeing this from a weird angle where it says Jerry 90? Is it missing?
No, it's not wrapped. Let me turn on text wrap. Sorry about that. Wrap. Yeah, sorry about that. I keep forgetting to turn that on for you guys. So that's the SQL part of it. Let's take a look at the JavaScript part. So first we have our SQL connection stuff. Did you guys all get this part to work? Connected to the database. Then we're going to use our connection.connect method, which takes a callback function. If we get an error trying to connect to our database, it's going to tell us about the error. Otherwise, it's going to tell us that it connected successfully, and it's going to give us the thread ID. Make sense to everyone so far? Yes? Okay. Now we're just going to put together some HTML about the actor, very similar to the last exercise we did about the magical schools, only this time we're using actors instead of magical schools. But we basically loop over our result that came back from the SQL database. We make a new line item for each result, and then we add a new paragraph for their name, their coolness points, and their attitude. Then we close the LI tag. Then after we're done looping over all of them, we close the UL tag, right? And then we just send the HTML response that we put together. Pretty much all there is to it. I know it seems like a lot, but it really is pretty simple when you break it down. Do you guys all understand pretty much what's happening here? We have a root. When we connect to that root in our web browser, it makes a connection to the database. It gets back all of the records in the database. Then it puts those into HTML, and then it shows us that web page.
High-level understanding.
Yes, high level. Do you guys all get how that works? Yes. Madison, Gretel.
Now show us how you do this with handlebars.
We're going to do that after break. What we're going to do before break, though, is we're going to talk about why this is bad to mix together the SQL code with the HTML. Can anyone see how this would get to be a lot, especially as you have bigger websites, which maybe have like 10 or more modules, which all talk to the database? Yeah, it would be very hard to style things. Your HTML is mixed in with your SQL. It's a very bad way to do things. Things get muddled very, very quickly. So when we get back, we're going to learn about handlebars, which gives us a whole nother level of abstraction and makes our lives easier. Okay? Okay, 20 minutes. What? It's okay.
I thought you were leaving at 7.
I thought so too. I'm like,
Okay,
I come to a lot in the last hour. Very tired.
Coffee.
No, not coffee, I already have one.
We did it to you too. No, I remember that. We're your favorites.
Yes, you are.
When do they start?
They start Monday, Tuesday. I wanted, yeah. Wow. It's extremely overwhelmed. Got rid of environment.
Did they give you more students? Like you, did you say they were gonna give you like 75?
We were not, I think they ended up with, they ended up with 40 so far, but they'll enroll all the way until Friday. But they missed like the orientation event, so it's like, they're coming in, not knowing where to go. Then I do orientation event last week. I'm not going to get smart. Did I tell you that I'm still here? Now I'm leaving. Thank you too.
Keep traffic.
Good night, guys. Bye.
¿De dónde aprendiste eso? ¿Sabes que si tú tienes el colchón, hay una librería que te lo hace directamente? Te pone aquí, pero como te parece, va como haciendo una cuestión de canal. Se dibuja una carita, se dibuja hacia ahí. Exacto. Pero no se sube. Sí, pero bonito, trae las líneas. Es una librería. Sí, sí, yo tengo ahí. Sí, pero está limitado. Uno se está limitando. Y el salud está grande por ahí. Gracias. Gracias.
Ay, no escribes el resto, pero es que no lo tengo técnica, tengo más que revisarlo más. Pero así por lo menos.
Yo, bueno, pues usaba.
Coloco más. Lo mismo ¿Ah?
No, voy a construir la forma de vida de los como decirlo mismo, pero
La mejor manera. mi hermano mira las uñas de ella y ella que se lo hizo una persona de HR.
¿Y ella verdaderamente
No, no, no,
Los chinos no saben lo que es, pues uno lo ve como un pequeño lugar, pero así lo vi, pues el mismo lo es como no más que tiene detalles y es un colocho hasta ahorita. No, duró horas.
Sí, por eso es que este con esto, entonces cuando pasa por esos,
en el mismo
no, esa parte que ahora hay es un problema. Entonces, cuando lo haces, es
Los chicos no saben cómo diseñar, pues
sí, entonces si tú es un trabajo que quisieras aplicar, tienes que ponerlo. También, pero si tienes que ponerlo con más personalidad, pero eso sí, pues lo puedes hacer un template, pero es que pero eso también se hace mucho.
sí, así yo la
Es como más frío, un mensajito ahí. La educación la ponen así, ¿no? Todas las profesiones que tú tengas de este curso, cualquier curso que hayas tomado, ponlo ahí.
yo siempre usaba
Porque así esto es lo que está logrando. Viene a Shopify, pero
Sí, yo me lo conozco, que estaba medio empleado, yo hacía un web para un tema de porque es complejo. Y eso era así, porque necesito que no paguen. Cuando llegan a como si no
pero tiene el código.
El código se me quedó al lado del horario. Hasta que no paguen el código, porque está diciendo.
Pero no tenía ningún backup de eso.
Y me gustaba, o sea, ese yo no hice,
Bueno, acuérdate que tú puedes poner el código con el mismo y hay una gente que hace unos personalizados que son. Pero
Hey John, do we have any more of these artworks?
Pero pues así, entonces digamos todo
That's very good
eso.
on kid. How many more do you make?
Sino aquí
This one?
en la parte de esta pongo en la rodada, y para cuando el computador lo lea, lo cojo y lo saque de todo lo que ponlo así, no importa, si son 20, pues son 20, es todo lo que sí, lo tienes que poner un poquito más.
desarrollado, sí.
Porque cogen y lo que hacen es que a mi hermano cuando le hicieron que los mismos compañeros de especializa eso, es que tú vas y buscas entonces el proceso, ¿no? Entonces ya
Not that it was hard, it's just getting used to working through different files, like with the models that they ask me, like an external model, different files. There's trouble getting used to it, but
Yeah.
so I finished it.
digamos, si es que se cambia,
Right, but
quieres tener.
they can plug in here.
Entonces ya tienes que poner que por ahí que tienes.
How far does your get? Like, where's your laptop? Oh, that's-
Para eso tendría que uno.
I see, okay, then. You can probably plug in.
No,
Yeah.
revisa varios trabajos que te gusten y asegúrate que tengas esos keywords ahí, ¿sí me entiendes? Porque digamos, estos diciendo, mi hermana, estos son los perfiles, ¿sabes?
Yeah, that person plug in here,
Ellos cogieron varios trabajos que yo estaba interesada
and
en
then,
los
so
keywords, que esto,
Cosas que siempre aparecen.
right here, and you should be able to plug in.
PHP,
Why, when you go
Internet
to
knowledge, PHP or WordPress experience, etc. Dependiendo de qué.
try to log in to Heroku from this.
Y ponle así como una oración y lo voy a poner
Okay, so now you have to do the. You can do, when you do Heroku create, you can give it a name.
Oh, it's tomorrow?
It's gonna let you know if you can say it or.
Eso puedes poner así.
And I was born right in here. Yeah.
Good.
So they're gonna give me, you know, this stuff, if you saw it, Jonathan, you have a heart attack. It's all Microsoft based from God knows what year, probably like 1989.
Oh, boy.
Bachelor of Engineering.
How did you?
And he asked me,
Major
he actually.
You created the repository.
He's like, you should think about, you know, the front desk, housekeeping PMS. And I said, dude, I'm not even, I can't even have that conversation with you. That's how integrated it is.
Why can't you just rewrite? Have your own.
Well, he said, you know, she's gonna just,
I've learned though while I started off, probably less than what you know right now. That's when I started this.
Because I figured he's in
Como
That's just
Still, I know.
Ideal.
Pero es que no me
I used to do just
So how long? Do you think it's gonna take her?
Oh, God, yeah.
So are you only gonna have like part of it planned for graduation?
That's why I always resign.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That one, yeah.
You know how they say that the stereotypical useless knowledge forces everyone. And someone legit throw an underwater basket being special.
I mean, you can stay in water for it to like be one. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all of you please remind me that you're gonna talk about this week.
It's like the same format, right?
Okay, we're gonna get started. Do you want to get the people outside?
No, okay.
Since you're there.
Melvin, go yell at them.
Love you guys.
Oh yeah, I should have gotten Melvin.
Yeah. You've been quiet, Melvin, today.
I'm tired. I'm exhausted.
They don't react well to it. Please would have been better. Yes.
All right, we're still missing people.
Yeah, they didn't react too well to it.
Yeah, you gotta do more Melvin next time. That's okay.
Make me a sandwich.
Hey, you guys, you
Get her a Starbucks. Make me a Starbucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't eat meat.
No, but I'll order with you guys. Yeah, I'll order with you guys. So we're gonna talk about lunches now, everybody.
Oh,
If you're hungry.
Segue.
Yes. Yes, you could get a beet and goat cheese salad with minestrone soup. For example, you could get pizza, 2 double veggie burgers, fries, and a big gulp. Who eats that? Yeah, that's weird. And why would you eat like a big gulp and pizza and a veggie burger? What?
Roll grapes in
But
goat
Robin's
cheese
skating
and then
over
roll them in pistachios and then just cook them.
That sounds really fancy.
No,
Yes.
Okay.
You wouldn't win it. Okay, actually, that could be.
That does sound good.
Just look at your hands, damn it. What are you talking about?
Cheese, grapes, and pistachios.
You're getting out of scope.
Yes, this is, we've been out of scope. So, let's look at what we're going to be doing here.
Are we having hamburgers?
No, we're just going to talk about food and not eat it, and I'm going to make you guys hungry. That's how this is going to work. So we're going to be learning about handlebars, everyone. If I may have your attention, please. We will be learning about handlebars. So you can see we have all of this great information. Guys, we have all of this great information here about our lunches, and we are going to be using handlebars to put it into an HTML page. So how do we do this? Well, let's take a look at our views folder. And you'll see we have index.handlebars, and then there are these things, handlebars. Yay, so now you can see why we call it handlebars.
So it's dynamic content.
It's dynamic content denotated by these handlebars. So anytime you see these two handlebars like this, this shows that you're bringing in dynamic content from your controller. It is a template engine. It is a template engine. So how are we doing this here from our JavaScript? Well, let's take a look. We have these different routes. If we go to weekday, we're going to use the response.render method, which tells it to basically render the handlebars template into an HTML page. And we're going to pass it this piece of information, lunch is 0. Which that will be this lunch right here, which has a lunch property of the lovely beaten goat cheese, although there's no grapes or pistachios. Sorry. Okay, so everybody see how this works, and then we're just going to call that lunch here. So everyone see sort of at least high level, how does this work? So we're passing in lunches 1, or we can pass in more than one variables, like food will be lunches and eater will be David. For this one,
Where's that defined?
Are you sliding this out, John?
not yet. I'm just showing you guys how it works. I want everybody to pay attention.
What's actually appear in the HTML if it's in a plain text file? Like, how do we export that?
Say that again.
How do we export what's in this plain text file to the actual HTML?
So this isn't plain text. It's handlebars. It's a .handlebar. So first of all, what we can do is install a handlebars package, so it will color it in for us. So you guys can all just follow along with me while I do this. I'm just going to look up Sublime handlebars package. And you'll see there's this GitHub page, and it should give us nice little commands to run to install it. Atom, Sublime Text.
Sorry.
Are you guys all finding it, the handlebars package?
I just found it.
You found it? It's worth spending the time to do this, to install the handlebars package. I did it.
But why isn't it in the NPM documentation website?
It's not for NPM, it's for Sublime Text. So it just colors in the handlebars code on Sublime Text, so you can get it through Sublime Package Control. So what you'll do, for those of you who use Sublime Text, you can go to Sublime Package Control and then search for handlebars.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that was there.
I didn't do it like that.
Yeah, so there's different ways to do it.
There's different ways to skin a cat, Sam.
So Control-Shift-P from the handlebars.
Or what was the wash and rinse analogy?
Whatever doesn't come out in the wash will come out in the rinse. Yes. That's a good one. I like that one. Okay, so let's look for handlebars here.
So you went to Sublime Packages?
Install first.
What's that, Jackie?
Sublime Packages? Is that where you went?
Yeah, Sublime Packages. So I did.
Like how to do it for Sublime and Atom. So whatever you guys have.
Oh, okay. Install package control.
For VS Code?
Okay, so now what do I do?
Now you do Control-Shift-P again. Control
Okay.
You have it up there already.
Okay. Install package control. Install package. Okay.
And then
Thank you.
handlebars.
Oh, okay. Okay, is everyone getting this to work?
I will do
Oh, you
it
want us to do it
tomorrow.
at the same time as you?
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
what I was
if you don't do that, you're just gonna see all white, and you're not gonna be able
See that, everyone? See how I got it to color it in? Yeah. So that's the first part of the answer to your question, Mappy, that it's not a plain text file, it's a handlebars file. If you install the handlebars package, it colors it in so you can see it.
That makes more sense, because on the bottom right it was showing plain text and I was confused as to how I was going to get.
Okay, so the second part of your question, how does it get converted to HTML? It does it through the middleware, what's called middleware that Express uses. So Express takes that file and converts it into HTML. And we're doing this by using the response.render method. It knows that we're using handlebars because we've required Express handlebars here. So this way, when we use response.render, it knows that we're using handlebars as our templating engine. So it takes the handlebars template and it renders it. It pulls in all of the data, it renders it into HTML, and then it sends it as the response to the client.
Index is
Yeah,
the
sure.
name of the file.
Index is the name of the handlebars file, exactly.
There's that app.set view engine and handlebars. We have to do that as well.
Yes, you'll have to do that. So you'll copy this to every page.
And now we don't have to do body parser anymore.
No, you shouldn't need body. What does body parser actually do, Jonathan?
So body parts is just to read data from the body, like that you submit from the front end to the back end. Body parts are going to be able to look at if you're submitting a form, if you're submitting JSON, whatever you're submitting to your server, body parts are going to be able to get that and parse it through.
If it has parameters, it parses it. Yes, you'll still need it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so is everyone seeing how this works? So you guys are going to get a chance to practice this on your own with our next example. In this example, we'll be discussing Ben & Jerry's ice cream to make you even more hungry. I think they do it on purpose. I feel like they're doing it just to mess with us. Okay. So in this activity, you're going to be creating your own Ben & Jerry's ice cream app where users can see all of the different flavors of Ben & Jerry's have to offer while also getting specific information on a flavor by searching for it within the URL. That's kind of a run-on sentence. I feel like that could have been written better. But we are going to be slacking out these instructions to you. You're going to be making a database table for your ice creams. It's going to have columns for the name of the ice cream, the price of the ice cream, and the ice cream's awesomeness. Didn't we do this exact same exercise in MySQL week? Or something?
Or something similar.
Yeah, we did something really similar to it. Maybe it wasn't ice cream. Okay, so do not use MySQL for this assignment, though. The ice cream is variable. So you're just going to save the data in the memory of your application. Same way as we did last week. We're not even going to use MySQL yet. We're just going to practice our handlebars skills. So using handlebars and Express, we're going to create a route called ice cream : name. Name is a URL parameter. It can be anything. So when you type in ice cream / pistachio, it's going to give you back the information about pistachio. It's going to tell you the price and the awesomeness. Then you're going to create a / ice creams route. It's going to loop over all of the ice creams and show us a list of all of the ice creams. You guys get how this is going to work? Very similar to a lot of the other exercises we've been doing. Only difference is we're adding in handlebars now. Did we slack out number 4 already? Okay.
Is that example going to be sent out?
Yeah, number 4, it already was. Guys, oh, sorry. Can you guys slack out number 4? Oh, it was in the zip file. Okay. Zip file.
So do you need to npm install a separate package for Express handlebars?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's express-handlebars. You can see it's in the package.json for 04. I think. Yeah, see express handlebars.
Dude, I was like that last week. Damn. Probably still do. I'm not sitting by the two. Never again.
Cater menus. The selection of fire. Yeah. Burger farm. You get burger, you get your fresh toppings, your condiments, and then your sides, and then you get the stone. Tell me you got burgers. It's not
Very similar to the previous one. Do you have the same files and ASLab? You may open the terminals inside this one.
No, this one's an schema.
As for the fourth one, no, very similar. You can copy paste and change the methods.
How do you create a file of handlebars? How do you save them?
handlebars. Yep.
Just install them and package and deliver some. It was common beef code. No, probably comes with cheese.
Did he talk about the views folder?
No.
So for this to work, you need to have a folder called views, and then that's where you put all your handlebar stuff in, or else Express isn't going to know where to look. So make a folder called views, and then put all your handlebars file inside of that folder.
Can be inside folders within that, or it has to be in that?
No, it has to be like right next to your server file. You should have views. Here, I'm going to select out an image.
That you have the layout folder.
Yeah,
Layout
it's
is-
views.
Yes.
It's views later.
Views are like layouts. It's like a place that you're gonna send to everybody or to most of the people. If you open that from the previous exercise, you will see that it's just the basic HTML structure. And then the views are the particular routes, like the things that really changes, the things that really changes a lot. You can work just with the views, but it's good to use the layout as well.
The chocolate, the latte. I mean the Ben Jerry's.
Yeah. So you use that, you use that. What was So now open our handlebar file. And you can open the C file.
Oh, those are just the routes. So when you hit localhost port, whatever / weekend / weekdays. Yeah.
Oh.
Those are someone that has the handlebars files. The previous exercise that he was doing, it is there. Did you set up the handlebars?
Yes.
You text it to. So you're doing the same, you're using the same text editor, how do you set up the handlebars?
You talking about the man line?
You mean a
No. The Sublime.
And Sublime is actually there, go to Sublime.
Yeah,
Awesome, that's what I was like. Alright, go to file, on this.
Yeah.
So you can do Control Shift P.
Preferences.
I created the variables, right?
Is that what you guys had? Okay.
Look for Control Shift P, you should also bring you Control Shift P.
Okay.
That's the one.
And
Yeah.
here you will ice cream, right?
Right.
Or
Ice cream.
just
So let me see.
It's actually really simple.
recommended.
Let me see. So.
Okay, so that's it. Now we do all
You're
the.
going to create UC flavors. Okay. So, right, so.
This one I got. Okay.
So.
Open the whole, it's not even, it's not.
Its name.
Right. So like if you were to hit that right now, any name you put like / ice cream / vanilla chocolate strawberry, it's always gonna display vanilla because you're looking at the first option in the array. This is an array, right? And you're saying send over the first one. So you have to write a function that looks for the name that you're given and then looks for that array.
This is what you asked.
Yes, that's a JavaScript file.
But this is
Similar.
Yeah, that's
The handlebars, the JavaScript handlebars.
Hey, did you do all of this? Because I think you were supposed to go over like the views and layouts, and then there was like how you went over.
Yeah, we went over views, right?
I don't think so. They were confused about it. Right?
Oh yeah, no, we went over that. The
Okay.
response. I showed them that the response.render went to the views folder and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll review it again after.
Okay.
But yeah, we
Because
did go over.
they're a little confused about how like this and this ties together and all that stuff.
The layout. Okay.
Yeah.
There was no layouts. Oh yeah, we didn't go over the layouts.
That was a handlebars. Yeah, we went over handlebars lunch.
Yeah, we went over handlebars lunch. And they're supposed to use that. So we'll go over it again when they're done with this.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So this is so if you really get to go into the main handlebars. Okay, this is like just main. So exactly. So we go for several launches.
To the whole project. Okay, we'll need to use
So that's the exactly. You have to make exactly. And then you can make it a paragraph if you want.
They are specific to the previous project. So you want to adapt to the new project that we are doing.
Perfect. So say that. Okay, now go back to
This is mostly burgers, showing all the nachos and stuff, food, and I'm gonna.
No.
Yeah.
I have a couple questions.
This is what exactly like if it was HTML.
The last exercise I did.
Like the HTML file. I'm sorry about your
It will render
HTML
not mistaken.
to show.
I don't think it's here, let's try that.
Which I guess
You run that?
Oh, so there's the.
Did you install everything first? Okay, didn't you install? Yeah, no.
So this has everything and then it goes in the body. So that's why that H1 tag is inside of here.
okay.
So then there's.
So
Okay, so go to that.
Yeah, let me go over it. Excuse me, everyone. I want to go over this again. How are you guys doing with that? Just to see, show of hands, okay? Okay. So let's do this. Let's go over, since a lot of you had questions, let's go over this previous lunches activity again. And then you guys actually go over lunches with your partners, and then maybe we can do like a group coding thing and just mob code this last exercise. If you start doing the ice cream one already, do you want to keep doing it? Is that what you're saying?
Not getting confusing.
Okay, so let's just talk about how this is going to work then with the lunch one. So what you have, one thing I forgot to show you guys, we have this layouts directory in this example. So in this layouts directory, we have the skeleton for every HTML file, because every HTML file is going to be basically the same, and that is going to have an HTML tag. It's going to have a head tag. The head tag is going to have a title. The title will always be lunches. So the only thing that's going to be different is what goes in the body tag. So basically every page will have this skeleton, and we set that by using layouts and then our server.js file. I think we must specify that somewhere, right, Jonathan? Yeah, so it says default layout is main. So we have this main.handlebars, and then here we're setting our engine is handlebars and our XHBS.
That's just the variable you call at the very top of line 3. When you require handle.
Oh, okay. We decided to call this variable express HPBS. And then we're just going to set our default layout to main, which makes it so main.handlebars is the default layout for every page. Gets this skeleton with main.handlebars. Yes, you need main.handlebars, or you can put the outside HTML code in every template if you want to.
Some instances there's 3 handlebars, and how come some instances there are 2?
For the layouts, there are 3, and for the other ones, there are 2. Good question, Jackie. So these denote that it's a layout, that you're pulling another handlebars template inside the layout. The 2 denote that you're using a variable from your JavaScript file. Like in this case, our lunch or our food, which pulls from here, the lunches. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Sorry, it's a little confusing. So you have your skeleton, what they call the layouts, which is basically like the skeleton. And then this tells it we're going to add in the body here, which could be one of these 2 other handlebars files. These have the 2 handlebars because they're pulling in variables from our JavaScript file. Does that kind of make sense? Okay, good. Okay. Any other questions on this? Because you guys were supposed to review this as partners too. We skipped over that part. You should have, yes, in your thing, you should have, no, you only need the one folder called views, and then inside of that views folder goes the layouts folder.
The dependencies, the node package.
Oh, and then the node, sorry, you're right. Yeah, then you need the node modules as well. Yeah, yes, Sam.
If you decide to just wrap every of your handlebars files individually with the skeleton.
You can do that. There's no problem with doing it that way.
When you do the app.engine line, can you just pass it in express handlebars?
Yeah, with nothing, and then it will, yeah, you can do it that way too. All right. Yeah, and then as far as the folders go, you just need the one layouts you need the one views folder. The views folder has a layouts folder inside of it, and then you have the node modules folder, which gets generated automatically.
That's my other question. It knows to traverse the file structure and find the one that you're looking for.
You are giving it a path. Yeah, it expects it to be there in views/layouts.
So it has to be in views/layouts, otherwise it won't find it.
Yeah, or there's ways where you can configure it to do it another way. If you had to do it another way, you could figure out how to configure it to do it that way, but this is the default.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that part.
Ice cream name. Where do you see it? So we have the names of different ice creams, right? Okay, so we're looking in the README now.
Create a route called.
Create a route called ice cream / name. That one. Create a route / ice cream name. So the name is going to be a parameter. Let me see what you have.
Oh, I got it. I just copy and paste their last example.
Yeah, that's usually the best way to do it.
Yeah. It's plural, not singular.
Ice creams? That should not. Yeah, I'm gonna go yell at them about that. Ice creams.
Apples included with express?
The what?
Apples included with express?
No. Separate.
Yeah. I was trying to do it more dynamic, like I didn't have to do better rate, kind of like, the ads, trying not to be a job, doing like.
Yeah, you have to start with that one.
So where is this now?
Also, that's, the main part. And I will use. I've been trying.
Oh, so you have to put it in there?
No, I mean, it's the one we're gonna do now with the ice creams is very similar to this.
Sorry, I was
I have been going to five here. There are.
Okay.
Sorry.
Did you do it with the parameter situation? Did you do it with the parameter?
No, I used the routes like it said.
You used it like separately?
No, I just used the first one. So app yes. Ice cream / name. With the ID name, not ID name. What am I saying?
Parameter name.
Parameter, sorry.
Yeah, with the colon.
Yes. Is there gonna be a lot more that I'm gonna miss in the last 15 minutes or not really?
You can hang in there for 15
I
minutes.
can't, I have to get my dog. If I don't get
Oh,
my
yeah,
dog
yeah.
10 o'clock, it's
Oh, yeah, sorry, I completely forgot about that.
Unless you wanna give me $1,500.
Yeah, sure, what's 15? I mean,
He's really cute puppy too. And I won't be able to.
well, shouldn't your doggy daycare handle that? I mean, isn't that where he got the bacteria from them? And they said they won't pay for it. Really?
Which really sucks because on Saturdays.
Yeah, mine's just
Where I
like,
take
you know, I'm just trying
Mhm.
to create a way for Chucky to see.
Yeah, now you kinda don't want to.
Drive and rent an hour to Miramar,
Uh-huh.
because it's my own beach. And I would, I'm moving forward every Saturday night, like 5:45. Because I like to be more early on Saturdays,
Mhm.
to see it settle in and just get ready
Yeah.
for Saturday.
Yeah, well, I guess they can't really help that. There's no way they can control the
They can,
bacteria.
they can clean the water bowls.
Yeah, I guess, but I've never heard. Usually dogs share the bowls and stuff.
Well, this is a new place that he's going to, because actually the place that he used to go to, that is, they closed, they would have recycled water. It would be, what we're saying, water.
Filtered?
Not filtered, but it would just.
Just keep cycles, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
recycled water, whatever.
Uh-huh.
If that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I texted him and I said, hey, by the way, I just want to let you know, my dog's sick. But my dog is trying to
Yeah.
It's just he went to this place because my own because the prices of land are so expensive. So he was a little bit of a jerk about it.
Yeah, that's too bad. But yeah, you should be okay. This is our last exercise of the day anyway. Yeah, I'll send you some React exercises too.
React? Are we jumping in React?
No, for when you're in Scotland. You're Scottish.
I was going to start to do this. You ever heard of this gentleman?
So it's right now, it's going.
Yeah, but how do you know? You just looked at it. He's got with this.
Actually, try this. Right out.
Like a ton of different files.
No, it's that should turn the index to reach. So we're not getting anything that's not iterating.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you mean, yeah, yeah, this thing's gonna go through this. That's the, oh, yes. This is the way
It's going to be the same as
So inside of the details for this blank
Yeah, because that's what the name is in the actual.
Actually, no. Believe it or not, very straightforward.
Yes, I have to review it.
Do you break your necklace?
I'm telling you,
Now I have to do.
ISQ was working, it's like a minute.
You were doing.
I have to
What's up? Okay, so you're rendering out index. And this is the data that you're sending out. So you have to point to this array. Instead of launching this one, we can Jackie.
Yes, dear.
Oh, that's not showing you.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, okay.
Looking at the index value in the array.
Yeah. Go ahead and take.
So you're gonna put
where it is in the actual.
So you're gonna be sending this version. So your handlebars. So you have to have his, you have to have lunch, you have to have name, you have to have prices. So then when you send that, you're gonna put these values in there. You get this? So for example, let's go to index, and let's just try getting the name, so type name instead of.
Now you're just gonna make
You should be able to run that and you'll get this. Yeah, if you run it and you hit over here, you go to localhost 4080/weekday, you should get that.
That's the problem.
How much do you need for this one? You need your command prompt? Yeah, you have notice. Okay, perfect. So you have to take a note.
You didn't do that thing with the.
Yeah, I see.
Okay, to control. What was that? And type install.
And then you're gonna go into that folder.
Why isn't it working? I think I'm gonna get off on this one and move on to the next one.
But we have something different.
Oh, well, it looks like this is.
Yeah, and the schedule
No, it's not. When she picks
there's nothing, oh, that's still allocated.
No, I did references here.
Or here, does it say? Okay, right,
And then from there you have place to type stuff in. Open package control.
What I'm saying? Yeah. And the more? Type it up, type it. Yep.
Control C.
So now you have to format this, and the name is this, the price is this.
So basically, when that finishes, do no server address, and then you put your box. Even over. Others. Yeah, space.
And then use.
This would be the same thing, name, price, and all this would be.
They got the same squares.
So how about coming up with these bonds?
My experience only shows me.
Okay.
I guess I used to code school has one.
Okay. Well, have a good night.
Okay.
Bye, everybody. Have a good night. Thank you, lovely.
Okay, so now we just let's do the first.
But I don't.
Me too.
Yes, so. Here to say, request inside. Yes.
When I did the second one line and I did the photos, it ended up just showing with the.
So I guess.
Oh, I didn't put it each.
Oh, that's what you're saying, you're putting middleware.
I got this.
Okay, what is this new engine?
That's.
How do you get that bars here? It's. So then we just need to find the one that.
More face one.
But no, like,
You know, I haven't listened to this, I haven't even started.
So, say we want, say I type in like ice cream slash cheese, we need to get one out of this list, and then.
And now the logos.
Does this make sense?
Inside that layout folder. Create inside views, create a layout for.
The other thing we've been doing. So you could, just to break it down. Yeah, it's basically the same as that, it'd be like the SQL version of that. So we're getting this name of the ice cream passed in. And then, here, I can just, if you want me to just type it, you can see. So the name of this array is.
Yeah, you have to do it so that each time you put in the individual name, it'll give you that. But we figured start with all ice cream ones. So now we have to figure out which permutations. Slash.
So I don't know this job. We don't have that problem.
I know it's work like this because I was just looking at the previous
Logo
examples, but then I realized
So let's see.
I'm just checking. I don't know. You marked it right here.
So now go to the next program.
No. That's coming from.
That's what I was trying to make.
First of all, base layout, and then the rest. That's just a very basic. Yeah. No. Okay. Then we have this. This. So right now, all we have is just name on that. Right. So this variable name. And I'm going to pass this, I'm going to dig this. So this is being sent. I'm saying, okay, I want name. So imagine that. For example.
How would we do, how would we write it so that it doesn't look like, you know, and like,
Do that.
we want to also show the price.
And then dash. Sorry.
Right. Right, so what would we do? Either, so we want to set the price. We also want to get price.
Thank you.
Sorry, dash.
It's just not
And then, type, space express, and then express dash handlebars. And that's it.
Almost. Check this out.
So we use.
Let's see.
So then it installs express this, installs express handlebars.
It's like a variable. You could do that, or you can separate it, put it in right.
No, you see, it's still not populating the information for me.
So you can just keep adding these variables.
I kinda get.
As long as you're setting it, it'll be fine. So, you can make it look very nice here. You have p tags, tables, or whatever. And just make sure that these are being sent on the server. So you make sure whatever you're looking for in the text, you're actually setting up.
No, it's just gonna be, yeah. Because we didn't want to make you guys do that. Okay, so now try going to local code 8080 slash.
If you
Oh,
manage to
you're
get
saying-
information and render it.
Yeah, I thought you were doing something else. Let me see if the link is it. Because I was actually like asking myself a question. So they do.
For the second example? Oh, no, that's supposed to be specified in the index. You wanted to list out. So like what happens to the name?
See, that's what I mean.
So yeah, that's
So if you're doing this.
So in
Oh, yeah.
it's not an actual URL. So in your index, like handlebars, that's where you list out price.
Forced to do that.
Oh, we got that.
Okay, so it's working. So we just want to test, make sure this is working. We say it in the now. Yeah, so we're all. So now all we need to do is log it to the handlebars template, and we do that with RDS stuff.
Because you're, okay, so go back.
Yeah,
So you're giving it, what you're sending here, oh, well, there's two things, right? You're sending out the file, which you're going to use, and then the data that you're sending to that file. So in here, you're sending this out, right? Whichever one, whatever. You're sending out the number. Alright? So this one is sending for me, price. So if
So yeah, here I'll
and you would want to put in, you know, like title or whatever. And then you put in that and now we build out like the data. And so when you send that, it's going to know language. It's going to know the
Let me give it a shot with all ice cream.
Wait,
I'll
you're
let you
waiting.
try something. You're actually going to do
ice creams if you're eating, and then you show them
Well, what I'm wondering is how we do like this dynamic. I know, like, the way that we did it in this one, for example, very close.
Yeah, that's what it's not it's not embedded into your actual
But if you try to load this.
That's why you need to put it in your index on each.
So you have to send them.
Oh, yeah, but he created a scale.
You touch it out,
Like,
and
it's
then he's
just
pulled out
static,
like
which is
and then
But it doesn't actually
but
show
if
them.
I have a body,
Like a hand.
on this top, so like for example, this object, we're sending over this object, and it'll create a paragraph. Yeah, so.
So basically, if you're gonna do it like this, you have to create a layout that contains and handlebars. So outside.
Or I just really set it you can make this longer, you only send it.
That's what I was not sure. And it was really
You know, just play around with that. Also, you send it like,
yeah, show me how you try to do this. Maybe I was missing something.
Maybe that works.
yes.
This we're pretty much gonna use like when we need to load like a couple of objects that we want to structure in a specific way. I mean, the basic HTML design and all that is gonna be the same.
So.
But it wasn't any random flavor.
So when you have, for example, let's say you watch.
Yeah, so I would do ice cream sundae.
Why about something the same design?
But that wasn't working.
And
then I tried it.
Title, and you might
Trust me, I wouldn't ask for help unless I really
block in that whole block.
really
So what's the same
But yeah, basically what I sent her is what I was doing.
That's it. You have to send it like a dashboard, users say dashboard.
Yeah, did you not put that? Well, nice.
So.
The vanilla? I mean, the ice cream.
Yeah, it doesn't work to start the whole thing.
But in that case, you would write pretty much the like the whole structure of your website is gonna be.
It's gonna be normal, and whatever you need to replace it, just do it paragraph. That's it. And then hopefully with the exam look at the other ones, but
There is a method that you want to use.
all your pages. Oh, you're 15 so choose this to import 3,000.
Oh, I should have done right now?
Yeah, you can use.
You able to do everything?
Yeah.
Okay, everyone, I'm gonna go over the example. Sorry, I didn't have a chance to get through it. How do you guys feel about that? What do you find? Awesome, you got it, Nelson? You guys got it? Okay, so let's take a look at the solved example. Handlebars, Ben and Jerry's. So yeah, we'll slack out the solved one. So we pretty much, this is what we were going for. You just have a route. You're looking for the ice cream name. Any questions on this, Madison? We almost got to the right answer. I'm not really sure why RCFIN wasn't working. Let's see what they're doing in view. So hold on. ICS. Oh, okay. So Madison, try doing this. Just try changing your template file to this. It shouldn't be. So just try putting like the word name inside the handlebars and see if it'll just do the name instead of the ice cream dot name. And that should work. Any questions, guys, on how this worked?
You go over the structure of the handlebars.
This? Yeah, sure. So I'll go over everything from the top. So here, everything starts with our server JS, right? You guys get that part?
Yes.
So everything starts with the server JS, just the same as all the other examples we've been doing. We're requiring two dependencies. We're requiring Express, and then we're requiring the handlebars package for Express that makes the handlebars templating engine work with Express because they're separate, right? Handlebars can work with other things besides Express. Express can work with other things besides handlebars. Then we're just setting our app variable to equal a new instance of Express. We're setting the port variable. Then this next line, we're telling Express that we want to use the handlebars templating engine in our app. Then we're telling it the default layout goes in this main folder. What this means, or the default layout is the main file in this main folder. What that means is that this file here is going to be the default skeleton for all of our HTML pages are going to get this HTML. So like just to show you, if I put in a comment here that says by Jonathan, then this will go on every single page. You guys see how that works? Yes? Okay. So next important thing to look for. See ya. Right. Next important thing here, we're setting the default layout to be main. We can send this at will, though, for other files. If we had one file that was kind of like a one-off that we wanted to use a different skeleton, we could do that too. So then we're just going to set the view engine to handlebars. Now we just have some dummy data, basically an array of objects that give us information about ice cream, the price, the awesomeness, the name. Then for our one route, ice cream / name just takes the name of an ice cream. We're going to loop over all of the ice creams in our array. We're going to find if there is one ice cream that matches the name that we passed in. If there is, we're going to render the response. So we're using this render method of the response, which renders the handlebars template using the handlebars templating engine. And we're just passing in this ice cream's I, which is the ice cream object that matches the name of the ice cream that we passed in.
Ice cream that goes after render means the name of the file.
This here, yeah, so this means the name of the file. So when I use response.render ice cream, that tells it go look inside my views directory and look for a handlebars file that matches this name. So it's going to use this ice cream.handlebars. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And then the second parameter that we're passing in here, can anyone tell me what this does? That's the data that we're passing in because this is a data-driven template, right? It's a data-driven page, so it needs data. So this data here, the name, the price, and the awesomeness comes from this object that I'm passing in down here, right? So I'm telling it, use the template ice cream, use ice cream.handlebars in the views folder, and then use this data, this ice cream object from up here. Like say we chose vanilla, say they're requesting the page vanilla. It's going to pass in this JavaScript object as data to populate the template. Does that make sense to you guys, how it's doing this? Okay, does it not make sense to anyone? Questions on this? Yeah.
Yeah, can you go back to the previous?
Yeah, sure.
I saw at one point you were returning something.
Yeah, so it just returns to quit out of the loop. And remember, I don't like doing it this way with the loops and stuff, but we're going to loop over every ice cream in our array. Then we're saying if this ice cream's name equals the parameter name that was passed in, then we're going to stop looping. We're going to use return to quit out of the function, to quit out of the array, and just render the response using the templating engine. Does that make sense? So another way, alternatively, we could write this as ice creams dot filter And then it just takes an arrow function, item, arrow function, and then we just put item.name triple equals req.params.name. So then I could set this to a variable. And then I could just take this out of here like this. You guys see how this works? And then do this instead. And then it would just be ice cream. And this should, in theory, work the same way. Everyone see how that works? Yeah, sure.
What that does is that it searches inside that object for property that match with a.
So if the property matches the ice cream. So if I type in vanilla, it's going to search in the object for the object that matches vanilla, and then it's going to give me back that object.
Numbers for arrays only.
Arrays. Yeah, I think it could be for objects. No, I think it's only for arrays, I believe. Yeah.
When you did the filter, didn't you override ice cream?
No, I called it ice cream and ice cream. One is called ice creams and one is called ice cream.
MTV? Huh?
I got it.
Thank you. You got it.
I didn't get it.
Oh, because I put it out there while you were on.
Oh, okay. Oh, gotcha. Okay, guys, give yourselves a hand. Great job today. Any questions before we break?
Can you just go over how the request params name works exactly? I know what it's doing. I just trying to understand how it works.
So request has an object called params. Params gets a name. So we're using this colon. Remember how we learned about the colon parameterizes? Okay, so this tells it anything that goes after ice creams is going to be a parameter. So I could type into my browser localhost :8080/ice cream/vanilla, and then see you, Mario. So then rec.params.name is going to be vanilla here if we use vanilla. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it prevents you from having to repeat the same code for each individual name.
For each individual name. So that was the first example, was that Star Wars example where we had one method for /Yoda and one for /Obi-Wan. And then we were able to just use the colon name so that it would go and get the Star Wars character for each one. Remember when we did that? So this is the same idea. It's just a parameterized URL.
What does this line do?
What?
Yeah, the one that has ICS.
So that there's another view called ICS. That tells it render this ICS.
This one, right?
Yeah. And we're going to pass in that object as the data to populate it with.
No,
So,
the ICS.
yeah, sure. So this is going to loop over all of them.
This is a form that handlebar has for a loop, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you can do looping within handlebars. And this is how you do it.
I have to study that thing. I'm not gonna get that.
Yeah, well, we're going to go over it more, so don't worry.
Does that do the same thing that React?
Sort of, but React is front end, so it's really different. How you doing?
I got it working.
Good.
I was getting like a blank page every single time, and then I realized like apparently I didn't save the template.
Oh, you forgot to save. It happens.
I keep creating it, like, what am I doing wrong? Like,
What happens to the best of us?
I never touched that.